Good afternoon, good morning. Oh, excuse me. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, uh, wherever you are listening to this podcast today. This is Willie Cartwright from Save to Sane. Hope all of you out there are doing well. I am doing excellent myself, and thank you all for joining us today. Certainly appreciate that. Those of you who are out there listening, please let me know by sending a message in the chat. And I said thank you to all of you who are listening live, and those of you who will listen to the playback or listen to this at a later time, a later day, and a later time. I certainly appreciate all of you. So again, this is Willie Cartwright. I'm with from Save to Sane. We do this podcast every other week where we talk about religion, religious related issues, including some social issues that are related to directly or indirectly to religion. I am a former Christian, 40 plus years, who deconverted about 10 years ago. And now I spend my time and the work that I do is to help to create a space for those individuals who are going through deconversion, who may have questions about their faith, or anyone who's just interested in dialogue regarding religion. Contrary to popular opinion, I am not anti religion per se, and I say that lightly. Although I have no issue or no problem with being called anti-religion, I don't think of myself necessarily as anti-religion. Reason being is because I have many friends and many family members who still consider themselves or who are still are religious, whether they use the term "I'm religious" or not. Many of them are of the Christian faith. Some are of the Muslim faith. A few of my friends are Jewish, and then I have friends who are everything from Sikh to Wiccan to Hindu. And so I acknowledge that those people are still friends of mine, and we quite often engage in meaningful and substantive dialogue about religion. I myself, I am no longer religious. I am no longer part of the Christian faith or any other organized religion. For many of you who ask me and we have a dialogue, you would probably walk away labeling me as an atheist. Again, I have no problem with that either. I don't consider myself an atheist per se. Reason being is because I give my standard line when I am asked, do I believe in God? The answer is no. I do not believe in God or any of the gods that we've created as human beings or that we know of. However, I leave open the possibilities that I could be completely wrong, or that there is something else beyond what we may define as God that is out there. And so I leave those things open. But as of the gods that we know of, including the Abrahamic God, I have not seen enough objective evidence to make me believe in that God, although I did for about 40 years. And so that is my standard answer. So again, hello to everyone. Neo, what's going on? Neo say hit the like button. So glad to have Neo here. Want to shout out Neo and her channel. Those of you who want to listen to more talk like this, probably a little bit more fiery, then you can switch over, check out Neo X. You can find Neo in this space as well. Christine, how are you? Greetings from Texas. Christine, thank you so much for purchasing a copy of the book. Hopefully, you started reading it and have some feedback, and I certainly appreciate that. But thank you so much. And Jamming 1997, glad to have you. I think it's been a minute, but greetings to you as well. So glad to have all of you. Today's topic, we'll get into it just a second, but it's called Losing Faith, Finding Freedom. And we're going to go into some detail about that and why I chose that topic. But first of all, as I always do, allow me to say thank you to a couple of people, one being Taisha Essick, who was actually on here last week, I think. Certainly appreciate Taisha for being on here. I appreciate Taisha for everything that she's done. She's instrumental in getting this podcast started and helping me to get to this point. So I will always be grateful to her. And secondly, but certainly not least, is my supporting, loving wife, Salima, who, as she says, my number one fan, but I like to call her my number one supporter. And so she's also instrumental in this program and of being supportive of all the things that I do in this space, not only this podcast, but all of the other work that I do in this space, because this is what I do for a living now. This is part of the space that I am in. Those of you who know me, really quick, would like to promote my book. This is a book I wrote about now, 3-4 years ago, From Saved to Sane: My Journey Away from Christianity and Why Christianity Has Been Detrimental to the African American Community. You can get this book on Amazon, or you can let me know that you're interested. You can send me a message. I will send you my email address and my Cash App. The cost of the book is $19.99, and I will send you a signed copy of the book. I'll certainly appreciate that. So the topic, um, losing faith and finding freedom. I don't think that we in this space talk enough about the transition one makes when leaving organized religion. Whether you've been part of that faith for a year or 50 years, it is certainly difficult to make the transition and deconvert, as we oftentimes talk about. Reason being is because religion is such a large part of our society. We are often indoctrinated into religion, regardless of where we live, what part of the country, what region of the country that we live in. Everything seemingly has a religious tint to it. Whether we start to be indoctrinated from birth, almost as a young child, through school, college, military, or just working, we see the effects of the influence of religion in everything we do, from social media to television to movies to music to sports. Every day, Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday, all over the place. We see the influence of religion in our lives. And so those of us who make the decision to leave, it is very difficult. It is easier for those of you who have never been exposed to religion or did not come up as part of an organized religion, who may not have had parents who were religiously devout. Unlike me, my mother was extremely devout. And so when you do make this transition, it is certainly life changing, and I have found that to be the case. Again, as I said before, this is 10 years for me, also 10 years for my wife, who also renounced or denounced Christianity. She had both been Muslim and Christian, and she had originally renounced Islam and then became Christian for some years. But we both denounced and started our deconversion from Christianity about 10 years ago. Greetings again. Let's see who we have. Amanda, NBS. Great. She said, "Oh my goodness, I finally got a notification." Well, awesome. I don't know. I didn't know how those notification works. I sent out the information. I schedule it and it goes out. But glad to have you. Hello to you. And then Amanda also said it is very difficult. So with that being the backdrop, I wanted to talk about losing faith and finding freedom, in the sense that, yeah, we lose our faith, those of us who are deconverted or who are deconverting, and those who are starting to at least think about the process of deconverting. But what's on the other side? I liken it to being free, a certain level of freedom, mentally, physically, emotionally freedom. But that freedom does not come without a cost. And for me, and for many of you, and for many others, that cost has been friends, it has been family. In some cases, it has been a job, a vocation, it has been community. And so, in some form or fashion, many, if not all of us, who have decided that to deconvert, we have experienced some type of loss. But I, and hopefully, like many of you, have also gained new friends, a new community, a new lease on life, and certainly a certain amount of freedom that comes with no longer being bogged down or part of the bondage that I call religion, organized religion. And so we're going to talk about that today. Again, this is not something to take lightly. I'm not going to rehash my story, at least not all of it, but I will talk about when I first started to deconvert. It was really about not receiving answers to the questions that I asked as a child and as an adult. It was about those who were supposed to be in the know, those people who had been part of in this case, Christianity for 30, 40, 50 years, decades, still were not able to answer certain questions. It was about the inconsistencies that I saw in the Bible. It was about the inconsistencies that I saw from people who were Christians, even part of the clergy. It was also about not being able to reconcile the Bible and science. Again, having questions as a thinking man, as a person who applies analytical thought to things. Many of the things between science and the Bible just did not make sense. And so, as I started to investigate those things, in a sense, searching for validation of my faith at the time, I realized that that validation was not there. As a matter of fact, it led me to the other direction. There became as I read and did more research, there came more and more questions about this faith that I had been a part of for the better part of 40 years, that I had been indoctrinated into. That was a very large and significant part of my life and my upbringing, and all of the people around me. But as I started to read and started to research and started to apply more critical thought, it just did not make sense anymore. Um, and so on that fateful day in August of 2015, my wife and I made a decision that we would start on our journey to deconvert, which for me meant more research, more reading, trying to seek and find answers to things that really did not make sense. I was trying to defend the indefensible with the Bible, and I know some of you. And feel free to chime in. Let me know your thoughts on this, and we can discuss it as well. And I know many of you experienced the same thing. I think one of the more difficult things about it was being African American. I'm Generation X. Finding people who openly, admittedly, thought the way I did proved to be extremely difficult. Um, I think, first of all, there just wasn't a lot of African Americans, uh, Generation X, who were non believers, especially growing up in the South. And then for those that were, many, if not almost all of them, were closeted, meaning that they were not open about their non belief for obvious reasons: fear of retaliation, fear of losing a job, a spouse, a relationship, friendship, community, all of that plays a part in it. And I am not critical of those people at all because I understand, I know firsthand how difficult that can be. And so I got on the internet and started searching out and seeking out some people. Um, One of the other things is that many of the people that I initially sought out ended up being non-African American. Those of you, again, as part of this journey, you know that many of the more outspoken non-believers, people who have deconverted from organized religion, tend to be non-African American. There are a few, but you have to search high and low. The first person I think that that was, I cannot remember this guy's name. He was a former pastor in Atlanta. And then he became a person, a non-believer, but he would post videos of him preaching about not being religious anymore. I cannot remember his name, but he talked, he had an open challenge to people that could, if anyone could prove anything in the Bible to be true, any of the major characters or major events. And he has sort of a standing offer of paying someone's bills for the next 10 years. It was something crazy. And I cannot remember his name, but he was one of the first people that I came across. Then Jeremiah Camara was another one. Some of you may be familiar with Jeremiah Camara. He would make the videos, the short video clips about religion and the harm that is doing to the African American community. He did longer documentaries about the same subject matter. And so I tuned into him. I think I mentioned on here before, I had an opportunity to meet Jeremiah. A friend of mine connected us to. We had lunch, had great conversation. I wrote about, or I at least cited Jeremiah in my book. And so those were two of the first people that I ran into. And then I started to go back, and this may be something for some of you to do. I started to go back and listening to Reverend Ike. I don't know if how many of you are old enough to remember Reverend Ike, but I remember as a kid the first time I heard Reverend Ike, and it was always something negative that people were saying about Reverend Ike because he was sort of the grandfather of what's the well the term is slipping. I can't think of the term. Oh yeah, of the prosperity gospel. So he was sort of the grandfather of the prosperity gospel. And so people sort of, at least back then, sort of tuned them out. The prosperity gospel didn't really become really popular until about the 90s. He was preaching in the 60s and the 70s, I believe. But if you dig deeper and you go back and listen to him and you sort of ignore the prosperity stuff, although it's directly connected to his message, he oftentimes talked about how there is no God in the sky. There is not this Abrahamic God that we see in the Bible, that God is in you and you're a part of all of that. And so I started to listen more to him. And then there was another gentleman who recently passed, but he had a huge church. He was part of the evangelical movement, African American preacher, but he left and became more universal and accepting of everyone. It caused him to lose his Pearson, Carlton Pearson. That's his name. So I was listening to those individuals, Carlton Pearson, the first individual I cannot remember his name, Jeremiah Camaro, and Reverend Ike was some of the early people that I started listening to. That sort of helped me along this journey. I also had references from some of the older books I read, like Before the Mayflower and ISIS Papers, some of those other things, some of those other books. And so I had a whole reference, but trying to find someone in person that I could communicate with and talk to about what was going on with me as an African American born and raised in the South, deconverting proved to be difficult. And then I ran into living in Atlanta. I came across the non-black believers and Mandisa Thomas. Ironically, I was good friends with her predecessor. Those of you who are familiar with Black non-believers and Mandisa Thomas, there was another organization prior to that in Atlanta that was started by another young lady who will remain nameless for certain reasons. She's an attorney. Her and I at the time, we were all good friends. My wife, her husband, and I were good friends. She sort of ran the predecessor organization to non-black believers in Atlanta, but for reasons related to her job and not wanting to lose the opportunity of her work, she sort of stepped back out of the scene. And so once I had an opportunity to talk to her and her husband, who were full blown open atheists, and made no bones about it. And I opportunity to talk to her, got introduced to another couple who we're still friends with now, who really helped me along this journey. They live in Atlanta. And the wife is actually from Atlanta. She grew up in the South. I think she's probably would be considered a baby boomer and not necessarily Generation X. But yeah, so I had an opportunity to talk to those. So I say all of this to say that this is a difficult journey for those of you who are deconverting. Those of you who are looking for someone who looks like you to talk with and dialogue and sort of bounce ideas off of. I know it has proven to be difficult, but what we do see now is that this space is broadening. There are more people in this space that look like me. Myself, Neo is another one. And there are many other people that look like us who are in this space. So I think that now it is easier to find faces that look like you, that look like me, who are open in this space. As I monitor and as I go on social media platforms like TikTok, I see a ton of people that look like us, African Americans, who are talking about this topic of deconverting in a variety of ways, and I love it. It is awesome. Most of those individuals are probably baby boomers and younger, but that's great. That's the trend that we're in. I think that I am a unicorn in the sense of being my age. I think Jeremiah Camara is probably my age, and Mandisa Thomas is close to my age or whatever. But I think we are unicorns in the sense that we are Generation X and older African Americans who are open about our non-belief. And so, again, I said all of that again to encourage all of you that these spaces are here. I'm certainly here. Neo is here. Jeremiah Camara is still out there. I saw some videos from him a couple of days ago. And there are many others. Shakiva Hutchinson, she's on the West Coast. She's a very esteemed in this space. Dr. Christopher Cameron, Dr. Anthony Penn, Candace Gorman. All of these are individuals who are in this space. If you can find some of their writing, some of their videos, some of their work, please take a look at it. And then there are a few others, but those are the ones off the top of my head that I have either read their work, researched their work, or even worked with from time to time. And so I just want to encourage you that those people are out there. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about losing our faith and finding freedom. It's a process. It is a process. I remember when I first started to deconvert, and anytime something would go wrong, at the time my wife and I still owned our business, and anytime that we would have a slow day or slow week or slow month, I would wonder if God is punishing me for leaving. So that was part of the indoctrination. That was part of trying to break that, because there's that feeling of guilt, or either that feeling that God is going to punish you, because we hear that, at least I did in my upbringing in the faith, that God was a vindictive God, and that he would punish you for not doing what he wanted you to do. And so I would oftentimes wonder if if things are happening negative toward me because God is punishing me for my wife and I leaving. And so it is a process. You have to get that. Amanda said, I'm sorry, Amanda said, can you type those names in the chat, please? Yes, I will. I will, as soon as I get a chance, Amanda. But yeah, so that it is a process that you go through, that we all go through. I did a lot of reading. As I said, I think I said a few weeks ago, and I've started to do that. I'm going to try to bring something every week. Unfortunately, all of my hard copy books that my wife and I had, we read. My wife we gave all them away when we moved from Atlanta to Vegas, where we are now, because we didn't want to bring anything. I've started to collect some more of those books, but I'm going to try to at least remember the name. And I have a lot of those books referenced in my book, so I can at least give you guys the name of those books that can help you, give you some reading material. And as Amanda has asked, I will also put some of the names in the chat. Amanda, I'll probably do it after this is over, so don't leave. I'll put the names in the chat. I can't type and talk at the same time, but I will do it. And so yeah, so it is a process. It is getting rid of the feeling of the guilt. It is getting beyond feeling that God is going to punish you. But as I've said before on one of these podcasts, the biggest thing that I did, and I think if you haven't done that already, that you should do, is research and understand the concept of heaven and hell. I believe that there are many people who think like we think, who have questions, who at a minimum are questioning their faith, but are afraid to, because they're worried that they're going to hell. And so once I understood the history of hell and where hell came from, and how we got the concept of hell. By the way, the concept of hell that we know of today does not exist in the Old Testament. But once I understood that hell and heaven are man-made ideas, that they do not exist, it made it easier for me to embrace the change in the process. And so hell hanging over your head is something that stops many people from really jumping out there and questioning their faith, and even leaving their faith, especially in Christianity. Those faiths that are associated with hell or some form of hell or eternal damnation or punishment. That's the fear factor that's built into some of these organized religious faiths that keep people in bondage. So again, the process. So once I was able to do that, it was also easier for me to apply critical thought and thinking to things, trying to reconcile science and the Bible, understanding that all of these things that supposedly happen in the Bible. Why are we not seeing those things now? Because we have ways of recording those things, and so we see less of these miracles. We see less of the things that we read about in the Bible. Um, Although science is not 100%, that's part of what science is. When science realizes that it is wrong, it corrects itself or it admits that it is wrong. However, with the objective evidence and the rationale and reasoning behind it, what we know of science in explaining our existence, explaining natural selection, evolution, Big Bang, and all those other theories, it makes more sense to me than what I read in the Old Testament in Genesis in how we got here. Again, not saying that the science is 100% correct, but for me, it makes more sense. And then secondly, when I ask believers to present any evidence of the Genesis story as to how we got here, there is none. And so what they do is what's called special pleading when we talk about if God created all these things, who created God? Well, God always existed according to them. Well, that's called special pleading. So if you're going to drop, uh, if you're going to circumvent uh, science uh, for one thing, then you should be able to circumvent it for the other. Either that, or if God has always existed, my question then becomes: if God has always existed, and you believe that, then why is it that the universe could not have always existed? And the things that are needed to build us, to create us, for us to become into existence, how come those things could not have always existed? Um, and so those are so for me, it just made more sense. As I told another friend of mine last week, she's a biologist. She's actually a scientist. Um, I told her that I am not tied to the science. Even if her or someone else proved the science to be completely wrong, it would not prove her God theory. So the two is not relevant. So you can not believe the science. You can punch holes in the science, and it still wouldn't prove that your God theory is real. Uh, so that's another point that I make to her. And so I tell her and other believers, instead of spending so much time trying to disprove the science, why don't you spend more time trying to prove your God theory? Because like many younger people today now, are not going on something that's just faith for you to believe. Because applying that logic means that we could apply that logic to any other of the 3,000 gods that we have here and anything else. If having faith in your God because a book says so would mean that Batman is real, Superman is real, Apollo, Zeus, uh, Mitra, any of them are real, the Easter Bunny, because there are books that talk about all of them. And that is about as much evidence that we have for the Abrahamic God or any other gods, for that matter, is what's in the books that are written by people who believe in this without a shred of objective empirical evidence. And so, again, once you get past those steps, it just becomes a process. Religion becomes irrelevant in your life. For me, it took a while for me to stop saying grace at my before I ate my meals. Um, I it wasn't hard for me to stop going to church. I was churched out, right? Um, Initially, it's funny because in college I had gone through the process of not going to church for a while, but I felt guilty. Many of you who've gone through that, who've stopped going to church, especially when you're much younger, and you feel guilty. It was almost like I heard my mother on my shoulder saying, "You should be in church." Um, but that was a while back, and so I had got to the point where I was churched out. So not going to church was not an issue for me at all. I was happy not to go to church. I got my Sundays back. As a huge pro football fan, I had an opportunity to watch football now. More so now, even living on the West Coast, where football games come on at 10 o'clock. The early games, I'm able to watch my football games. So that was never an issue, but I know for some people there's an issue by not going to church. The whole social element of it, which is also part of the process. Many of us go to church or have relied on church to bring us the social connection with others, other like-minded people. There are other organizations and other ways of doing that. I don't miss the church simply because I don't miss the social aspect of the church because of this. Because religion is such a large part of most people's life, and we don't have that in common. And so I don't miss being there in their presence in a church, even for the social aspect of it, because I don't want to hear conversation about God, Jesus, the church, whatever. I don't. That's not who I am anymore, and so I don't miss that part. And so when I want to, I have friends, I have a tribe, I have people where either religion is not an issue, or we all sort of feel the same way about religion, and so it's not an issue. And so we meet and we do other things. We do everything else except go to church and talk about religion. And so I love that. But I know for some of you, depending on the community you live in, your friends, that is a huge part of your life. And it may be difficult for you to break away. But again, I ask you to search for like minded people, search for a community of people that are doing other things, and that church is not a huge issue. It is not 100% avoidable for me. I'm part of a number of organizations, my fraternity being one, where church religion is often talked about in a favorable light. The assumption is that all of us or everyone in attendance is a believer of some sort. And so when I'm at events with my fraternity or fraternity brothers, religion will come up, even if it's a prayer before the meeting or a prayer after the meeting. It's something related to religion that comes up. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm not unused to it. I'm respectful, and so I don't make a big deal of it. Funny story. I just got back from my homecoming last weekend, not this past weekend, but last weekend. Those of you who ever attended an HBCU, my undergrad is an HBCU. So I attended homecoming last weekend. And ironically, a couple of my, and this was also the 35th anniversary of my pledge line. Those of you who are familiar with the D9 or D9 organizations or pledging. And so the guys I pledged with, this is 35 years since we pledged. I got a few wisecracks from some of the people at homecoming about my disbelief because many of them follow me on social media. Um, I had one friend who, a fraternity brother who I had been close to in school, who made a joke about since you denounced Christianity, I thought you had denounced the fraternity too. You just denouncing everything. I sort of blew it off. No big deal. But there were others. But on the other side, the flip side of that, I met people, several people who quietly said, "I follow you. I support what you're doing. I just can't be open about it. You've been, you've been talking about this for a while, and I think that you're right." And so I had both. But all in all, it was a wonderful time. It was a great time. Those of you who graduated from HBCU, you know how important, how lively a homecoming can be, and so it was all of that. So we did that. But I just wanted to throw that in. So it is unavoidable if you are African American and you are raised in this country. 9.5 times out of 10, you are going to have people around you that you associate with, that you know, maybe family members, close friends, who are Christian or Muslim. And they're going to be very open about their belief. And so you just have to figure out a way to deal with that. A couple of comments. Amanda said, good point. All the signs and wonders stopped when cameras were invented. Absolutely. Why am I tickled by that? Amanda says that. So, yeah, absolutely. Another thing I think is your identity. My identity was never this holy, devout Christian holy roller. But part of my identity was a person who was in the church. Um, it was a person whose mother at the time was very devout and eventually became a minister. A lot of my friends and my references from childhood were church related. My Sunday school teacher is as responsible as anybody for getting me into college, at least my undergrad. Um, my drama teacher, who helped me with my speech impediment, and got me into drama was a minister at a church. And again, many of my friends, we have fond memories of events that took place in and around church. And so that was part of my identity. My roommate from college, who we had been really good friends, we had been friends through high school and even in college, is very devout now. We don't talk much. We're part of a larger chat group with some friends from back home. He will occasionally post some kind of scriptures. I just ignore it. Um, but yeah, that was part of my identity, not as large a part as some people, but it was a part of my identity. And so now, being a non-believer is probably a larger part of my identity, simply because, I'm not going to say that because I am very open about my non-belief, and so I do post on social media about it. I have a business that's related to it. I have a degree about it. I've written a book. I've done some other writings. So that is a large part of it, and largely part due to the actions of myself. But there's also, I think, people make a larger deal out of it than what it really is. If you meet me in person and talk to me in person, um, I'm probably not going to broach the topic of religion unless it is relevant to a larger conversation, or unless you bring up the topic yourself. And so I don't walk around with, yeah, I'm this black non-believer and da 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 da. It's just, I just don't. But again, your identity changes. My identity has changed, and now I do get approached from people that know me. And the first talking point is sometimes, oh, you don't believe in God, or you're a non-believer, or you're an atheist, or whatever. And so now I willingly and happily accept that as part of my identity, and I do work in that. So yeah, it's fine with that. But be aware that might become part of your identity at some level, depending on how open and overt you are about your non-belief, and depending on who your circle of friends are or have been. Amanda said, I'm about to drive, but I'm still listening. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, your Sunday Facebook posts are hilarious. You really get the Christians stirred up. Amanda, those of you who don't follow me on Facebook, I used to do, I still do from time to time, but I do this Good Morning Saints post on Sundays, and it's about religion. And people who are religious say that it's usually a meme or a post that attacks them. I haven't done it a lot recently. A couple of reasons. I'm more focused now on, and I'll tell you, I'm more focused now on fighting stuff like Christian nationalism, helping my people understand how organized religion, in this case, westernized Christianity, is also related to the politics and the social issues and the social things that are going on. And I hope that in doing that, that many of them would at least start to question their faith. But it's now really more about why is organized religion a danger, not only to us, but to society as a whole? Can we coexist with organized religion? What kind of society would we have if public policy was based on a secular approach, as opposed to the influence of religious dogma and doctrine? And so that is what my work is turning into, and the direction that it is going in. Um, and so I've sort of shied away from some of the stuff that I was doing on social media, but I still do from time to time post some things that religious people, in particular Christians, find to be critical, get offended by, and become defensive in the process. And so we do that. I think I posted something earlier this week. I think I actually posted a couple of things this week that got a few people upset, but that's part of it. So we still do that. In this process of deconverting, losing faith, and finding freedom, you start to rebuild your life. You rebuild your life around new friends, new ideas. For me, a new purpose, a new mission, uh, centered around the things that I just told you about. And I find great purpose and great pleasure in that. Ironically, it's funny because ironically, and I said it twice, but many Christians would say, well, if you're no longer a believer, then how do you find purpose? What is your purpose? What is your passion of life? And what I'm doing now, challenging them, has brought me great passion, and it is my purpose for the rest of my life to do that. And I say that because, and I always point this out to them when they ask me why am I doing it, because quite frankly, religion, organized religion, has done so much harm. It has done a lot of harm to society at large, and it has done great harm to us as a subset of society. It has done harm to communities and societies across the world. And so Christianity, for the most part in this country, has gone unchallenged. And I think that it is time for those of us who are no longer believers to make our voice known, to push back and to challenge Christianity, especially the negative things that come out of Christianity. Let me be clear here. I am not advocating to get rid of organized religion per se. I am actually in favor of people having a faith practice, if that faith practice, and I've said this all the time, if that faith practice is personal and private. What I don't like, or what I have a problem with, and why I do the work that I do, is when those faith practices infringe or become influential in public policy making. When those faith practices harm others, um, when they discriminate, I believe that religion itself is inherently discriminatory because it creates and sets up a us and them and other. If you're not part of the religious group, you're part of an other, which means that you are diametric, that you are opposed to, you are antithetical to organized religion. And so that's how you are viewed. And so any of your actions or your positioning can be deemed as something that is antithetical to that faith, because the faith sets up things that you cannot do, actions that make you unacceptable or an abomination in the case of some, when those actions or those lifestyles are actually not harmful to anyone. And so, again, I believe that organized religion in itself is inherently discriminatory. It is inherently a bad thing. And so I will say that, and I will stand on that. But I also know that there are many people, because of the generational indoctrination, where religion is a strong part of their life, the belief system gets them through things emotionally, mentally, it helps them with certain things. Whether it is a placebo or not, it doesn't matter to some of these people. They still rely on it. And so, for those people, I don't necessarily want to take that away from them. But what I do want to do is not see us as a society create laws based on the belief systems of someone of any religion, any one religion, or any religion whatsoever. And so that's why I draw the line at. Um, so, what has been the benefits of this losing faith and finding freedom? Well, I found freedom. I believe that I am a much better person because I no longer discriminate against people who may be different than me simply because they are different, or simply because they don't fit this religious box. There was a time that I was, maybe homophobic. I think that's a strong word, but maybe homophobic. And I blamed it on my religious beliefs. I think that was part of it as well. But those religious beliefs gave me a defense to be homophobic. When I really sat down and looked at it and said, why do I have these feelings about people and their lifestyle has nothing to do with me? That has nothing to do with me. Why is that? And then I realized that it made absolutely zero sense. And so now, now I am not only not homophobic, but I am now an ally of the LGBTQ community. From that point, I have many friends who are part of that community, some really great, wonderful people. And so, yeah, but that was that. But so it's things like that. So I think I'm a better person from that standpoint. I am more open and more accepting of people who are different than me. I think it is great. One of the benefits of living out west is that living out west, people are less judgmental. At least that's what I found to be. They are less judgmental. And my standard line is: if you're not hurting anyone, then I really don't care what you do. And I know that's everybody might not think like that, but we all human and we all can do what we want to do. We're grown adults. If you're not hurting anyone, then you won't hear a word from me. I might not agree with it. It might not be my thing, but I'm not here to judge you either. There may be some things that I do that might not be your thing or you might not like. So we're good. Um, so yeah, so I think that I'm a better person from that standpoint. I think there is less stress in my life trying to live up to all these things that the Bible said you can and cannot do. Now I'm a good person for the sake of just being a good person. I am a secular humanist because I believe in the goodness of humanity. It has nothing to do with wanting to go to heaven or trying to avoid hell. I see the good in people more so. I am an avid reader of everything. Uh, there were there was a time that I was in Christianity that certain things I couldn't read or thought that I couldn't read or that I shouldn't be reading. I hear these people who are Christians who are anti-yoga and anti-meditation and anti-Reiki and anti all of this and anti-crystals and anti-astrology and anti all this stuff. Everything they talk about is demonic. This is demonic. That's demonic. It is the most insane thing that I hear when people start talking about it. Now there's this thing about believing or that your ancestors are demonic. And I've only recently been seeing bits and pieces. Apparently, someone on social media talked about and sort of criticized Christians, Black Christians, for believing that their ancestors were or are demonic. Um, my point on that is this: um, I have a direct DNA biological connection to people that came before me. Those people existed, those people were real, and those people would never be demonic to me. It is because of those people, their resilience, their courage, their struggle, and their sacrifice that I am here today. So I would never disparage or talk about those individuals that came before me. I would certainly never put this Christian belief system, this Abrahamic God, ahead of the people that I am directly connected to and related to, and have been through the generations, all the way back to Africa. And so I think it is ludicrous for Black, especially Black people, to believe that their ancestors are somehow demonic. Even the acknowledgement of their ancestors, to believe that that is somehow demonic, is ludicrous to me and asinine. And so I would never do that. And maybe we will do a show later on about all of this. Um, let's see. Christine said exactly too much harm. And then Amanda said the irony is the moment you denounce Christianity, you automatically became non-judgmental. Absolutely, exactly. As I said earlier, Amanda, organized religion is inherently discriminatory. It is inherently judgmental, right off the top, and you have to be. It's part of the makeup of all religions. And so yeah, and so I feel like that I am a much better person. What are the challenges? Well, we talked about some of the challenges is the social aspect, losing friends, and I've gone through this countless times about the number of friends that I've lost or people who I thought were friends. But I've also gained so many more friends. But yeah, losing friends, the social connection. Those of you who are in that environment where you literally can lose your job or lose clients, a relationship with loved ones, that's all part of the challenges. The mental issue, getting over that and not feeling guilty that you're no longer part of that is also part of the challenges that one will face in this process. Um, Also, in a time of need, what do you turn? When we were Christians or whatever, believed in a God or a deity, when times got hard, many of us turned to that deity, whether it was praying to them. Um, no, no real results. Things may have happened for your good, but it wasn't. It cannot be proven that those things happen for your good had to do with you praying to this particular deity, right? Um, and so when people ask me now, they say, "Well, what? How do you deal with stress, or how do you deal with issues?" First of all, I have, fortunately for me, I have eliminated most of the stress in my life. I don't have kids, so that's no stress there. and I'm not, and I'm not making fun of anybody with kids, but I know, at least watching my sister and the people that I know, how stressful kids can be. And so my wife and I, we don't deal with that. I have a wonderful, wonderful marriage of going on 20 years. In February will be 20 years, and it is stress free. My wife is absolutely wonderful, in that sense. Financially, it is what it is. We are fine. We do all right. We've made some good decisions in life. We're not rich by any means, but we are all right. We Everything we need, we have, and if we need it, we can get it. Um, and so, and health wise, my wife and I, we're in really good shape for our ages, for any age actually. We work out consistently. We eat well. We eat healthy. My wife is vegan. And so those are three or four areas, and I have good relationships with good people and good friends. I have close relationships with the people that are close to me, my immediate family, and a couple of cousins. And so those stressors I don't have. But when I do on occasion feel stressed, there's other ways of dealing with it. I hike, I work out, I read, I meditate and talk to me. I go in. I talk to my wife. I talk to friends. I listen to music. There are a variety of ways of dealing with it, as opposed to me having to pray to some non-existent deity. And so, yeah, Amanda said, if my ancestors are demonic, wouldn't that make my deceased grandfather demonic? He's still my most favorite person. He'll never be demonic. Exactly. Absolutely. When they say ancestors, they're talking about anybody that preceded you, that's related to you, that preceded you in death. So that would be, for me, that would be my mother, who may have been a mean person, but she is not demonic. uh, and anybody else in my family that have predeceased me, um, going all the way back to the very beginning. So yeah, so absolutely. And so those are some of the challenges. But discovering freedom, there are some pragmatic freedom things I've discussed. We talked about me being able to watch football on Sunday, or having my Sunday back, or having slow Sundays. I don't have to get up and get dressed and go to church. Many Sundays I get up and I open my shade up. I'm outside of Vegas, so it's sunny 300 plus days of the week. Of the year. So I get up and I open up my shades, and the breeze is coming in the early mornings, and the sun is bright, and I do some reading. I love that. I feel free with that. It's a slow morning. There is one of the fortunate things about life. As you get older, you realize one of the more important things about life, and if you can obtain this, it is awesome. And that is what we call slow mornings. Mornings where you don't have to do anything. There's nothing on your calendar, nothing on your agenda. It's quiet. And so Sundays, I'm fortunate. I get more slow mornings than most people, but certainly Sundays are one of those times that I do have slow mornings, and so I get that back. There's no feeling of guilt. Um, Whatever I do is part of my life. I don't do things that's going to harm me or harm anyone else. That's just not in my makeup, and so I'm good with that. And so there's no guilt. There's no guilt if I eat shrimp because the Bible says you can, or if I grow a beard, or if I have piercings. I have tattoos. There's no guilt about that. I cuss. There's no guilt about any of that, because I don't believe in no such thing as a sin. That is a Christian thing. There's no such thing as sin. That is Christianity. Those of you who are believers, that's your thing. That's not my thing. Just like God and the devil, because I'm not Christian, don't mean I'm worshiping the devil. The devil is part of your mythology, not mine. As a non-believer, not believing in God, I also don't believe in the devil, because they're part of the same coin to me. So I don't. So I don't have any of those guilt. And we talked about the demonic talk, how everything is demonic, from crystals to yoga to whatever. Funny how that is, because many Christian practices are magical or can be deemed as demonic from someone on the outside. You take you eat the symbolic body of a dead person. You symbolically drink his blood. You get baptized. You talk in a foreign language and talking in tongues. You run and rip around a church, flipping over benches. You cry for no reason. You pray to an invisible deity in the sky. All of that stuff is no different than the witchcraft, the magic, or the demonic things that you talk about with other people and other religions and other faiths. So it's really no different. If you've never been indoctrinated and exposed to Christianity, and you stepped outside and you looked at all of the things, um, all of the rituals that Christians engage in, you would say that it is either demonic or magic or just flat out just insane, crazy. And so, yeah, um, Amanda said, let me go back up. Let's see. Amanda said, yes, I don't work on Mondays, so I have a full 3-day weekend every weekend. Absolutely. And enjoy all of it. Enjoy all of it. I'm trying to make sure I get the last comment. Yep. And then Christine said, Christianity teaches you our ancestors are demons, but their ancestors wasn't. That's another point. Too many black people don't freaking think, and I'm trying to be nice. I'm really trying to be nice. How in the hell would you call your ancestors demonic when they were enslaved, they were beat, they were lynched, they were raped, they were killed by these white Christians? But I've never heard you say that the ancestors of the white Christians were demonic or are demonic. That is insane to me. It is just, and you really believe, and you're really running around here talking about your ancestors were demonic and believing your ancestors demonic, acknowledging your ancestors as demonic, but you don't say anything about the ancestors of the ones who engaged in atrocities toward your ancestors. You don't call them demonic. It's crazy to me. Amanda said, I've traveled a lot this season for football, and I have been so happy. So, Amanda, sort of a side note. So last week I was at my homecoming football game, but you go to HBCU, you really don't go for the game. This past weekend, this past Sunday, I was fortunate enough to finally go to Dallas, Texas, and watch my beloved Cowboys play in their home stadium. Now I've seen them play before when I lived in Atlanta, when they came to Atlanta, but I had never been to Dallas, Texas, the new stadium, and see them play. My cousin who lives in Tampa got 2 tickets. His daughter bought him 2 tickets for his birthday. She lives in Dallas now. They were standing room only tickets, but I didn't care. I flew in, got a chance to get into the stadium. By the middle of the first quarter, we had nice seats in the end zone. We can see the entire game in the screen. So it was for me, it was a once in a lifetime experience. I plan to do it more often. But it was one of those things I always wanted to do that I loved and had a good time, enjoyed. Flew in, saw the game. We spent the night. We had a nice dinner. We hung out. This is my cousin. He's a couple of years older than me, but then the next day, that Monday, I flew back here to Vegas. So it was awesome. So yeah, so I'm watching football, enjoying football games. Christine also says, Christine, exactly, it makes no sense to me. And then Amanda says, communion is witchcraft. Communion is absolutely witchcraft. It is symbolic. It is symbolic cannibalism. You are eating the flesh and drinking the blood of a dead, of a person who who your God sacrificed. Think about that. You are symbolically eating the flesh, drinking the blood of someone that your God sacrificed, and that sacrifice is supposed to be him reincarnated in a human flesh. That is about as weird and as demonic and as evil and as whatever term you want to use as it gets. That is what communion is. That is what communion is. Communion is. So it is insane to me that we do that. And finally, I'll leave this with you. Leaving religion, deconverting has brought me inner peace. I accept things for what they are. I understand that I am not special. I am not different. We all are dealt things in life. I've been fortunate that I've been been put in a better situation than some, but there are many people who have been put in a better situation than me. And so not being religious anymore has enabled me to accept everything for what it is. As my wife oftentimes says, there is no good or bad, it just is. How you relate to it, how you react to it determines whether or not it is good or bad. And so I have no religious expectations. I don't expect for God to come down here and save me because there is no God. Um, I don't expect anything. So there are no expectations. Um, uh, Moral doubt. There is no moral doubt. I do things simply because of the humanity that's in me and the humanity that I feel toward others. Again, I don't harm anyone or try not to harm anyone because I don't want anyone to harm me. I see another human being as part of the larger human family, and it has nothing to do with a belief system, has nothing to do with wanting to go to heaven, has nothing to do with trying to avoid hell. And then finally, I encourage all of you who are part of this process to find a support group, whether it's online or an actual group. You can do that. Amanda, let me put some of these names in here. Jakiva, let's see. And I might be spelling her name wrong. Jakiva Hutchinson. Shakiva, that might be wrong. Jeremiah. Let me see. I am putting the names in here. Amanda had asked me some of the people that I talked about so that she could look these people up. See, Jeremiah Camaro, I think I spelled his name right. Dr. Anthony Penn. Let's see, Dr. Christopher Cameron. Let's see. I think I spelled his name right. Christopher Cameron. I might be wrong. I might have spelled that wrong too. Let's see. Gorman. Oh, Candace Gorman. Candace Gorman is actually head of the American Atheist Association. Brilliant, brilliant sister. Let's see who else. I'm trying to think. It's all I can remember right now. So Shakiva Hutchinson, Jeremiah Camaro, Dr. Anthony Penn, Dr. Christopher Cameron, Candace Hutchinson. Check those names. You can still find them. I think I misspelled some of those names, but you still should be able to find the people and find their writings on their podcasts and their interviews that they've done. And there's a whole host of people, other people, and I'm going to try to get a more complete list by next time we come together, and I'll post the stuff earlier so you can see it once you come in, and I'll have all the names spelt right. But we will do that. Carlton Pearson is the other one. It's another one. He recently passed away. I think last year. I think he passed away. And then there's some writings by. I gotta get his name. It's slipping me right now. But anyway, last couple of comments. Which HBCU did you attend? I attended the glorious, wonderful, illustrious Alabama A&M University in Normal, Alabama. um, Jay Jam said, excellent commentary once again. Thank you, Jay Jam, and I certainly appreciate. I appreciate all of you. Um, yeah, Amanda, no problem. You're taking a screenshot, great. So yeah, absolutely. So thank you all for being a part of this. I enjoyed it. Thank you. I will see you in a couple of weeks. Take care. I'm going to try to do more of this with the information so you can read outside of this, read some of their stuff because their stuff has really helped me. It's out there. We just don't know about it because it's sort of kept under wraps, or you really have to be in that space to know it. A lot of these people I've met before, Anthony Penn, Candace Garman, she said it on a talk I gave about Christian nationalism. Dr. Penn, he and I met. I wanted to get into his PhD program, but he wasn't taking any more students. He teaches at the University of, he teaches at Rice University. I think it's in Houston, Texas. Jakiva Hutchinson is in Los Angeles. She's big in the LGBTQ community, and she's written some stuff about being LGBTQ and atheist. Christopher Cameron, he wrote the book about famous black free thinkers. He's a professor, I think, at one of the schools in North Carolina. I think it's University of North Carolina in Charlotte. I think he's a professor there. Carlton Pearson was a well-known minister who was part of the evangelical group and left because he no longer believed the way that they believed, and he got severely ostracized, lost his church, and pretty much lost everything in that. And so there's some other people, but yeah, these are some excellent people to at least begin your search and begin your reading. Those of you who are starting to deconvert or as part or in the process, or even maybe have completed the process and are completely deconverted, but just want some other reading material. So that's wonderful. Those would be a wonderful people to start with. So yeah, so that's me for today. Thank you again. I will see you in a couple of weeks, in 2 weeks. Until then, be safe, take care of yourself, and thank you all for being a part of this.